Namaskar, dear friends. Welcome to the 9th level. Here we will get ourselves acquainted with physical exercises of yoga. They are called asanas. At this level there are also many additional videos, the rules for these exercises. From that video you will, for example, learn that what I'm doing right now is not very proper, because the asana, these exercises, they're very subtle exercises and they have to be done in the protected environment. There should not be any wind or draft. Anyway, there are many useful points that will improve the practice so much. That is the video about the rules for the asanas. Then there is one video about self-massaging. Then there is video about deep relaxation, and many additional videos where our yoga teachers, asana teachers, present their yoga classes. So what is asana? It's an exercise, physical exercise, special exercise. It is subtle. Some people, they tend to call them inner sizes, that they work internally, not externally, not on your muscles so much, also on the muscles, but more on the deeper layers of your physical existence, and also they affect the psychic sphere. The definition of this practice is Sthira Sukham Asanam. This definition we have to always keep in mind when we practice these asanas. Sthira Sukham Asanam. Sthira means still, Sukham, happy, peaceful and happy are asanas. The positions of the body, the postures of the body, in which the body and mind feel peaceful and happy, are asanas. So this is very important definition, because nowadays there is a blending of cultures, Western culture, Eastern culture, and it is very positive process. But while blending, sometimes we lose the spirit also. So with our Western mind, we understand yoga as another kind of sport discipline, physical discipline. But it's not like that. It is a spiritual discipline. So when doing asanas, we have to be guided by this principle, Sthira Sukham Asanam. It means also there should not be any violence over the body. You have to find the middle path between the pain and pleasure, between relaxation and effort. There has to be internal orientation. You have to pay attention to your feelings, to the when your ligaments are stretching, how you feel. Listen to what body says to you, to the pains and to the pleasure, and not pay attention to the external form. Many a time people will try to acquire, because it is cool. I want to be in that asana, I want to be in that posture, I want to show how good am I, and also I want to compete with others. So remember, in these asanas, in this practice, you never compete with anybody, including yourself. You are doing it for your health and for your mental benefits. What are the benefits of asana? Asana is a very thorough exercise. It affects the muscles, it affects the ligaments, it affects the bone structure, it affects internal organs such as liver, heart, kidneys. Most importantly, it affects the glandular system. It affects also the vital energy moving through the body, the airs. You know, in Chinese medicine they believe that the health is in good condition when the chi, the prana, the vital energy flows freely through the channels in the body. And if there is some blockage or stoppage of that energy, slowly person will develop some kind of disease. And their approach is to pierce your skin with the needles, acupuncture, or press points, acupressure. So yoga has a little different approach, but the essence is same. We want that the energy flows freely through our body. So we are stretching the body, removing different blockages. So that is another big benefit of asanas. Muscles, bones, ligaments, internal organs, glandular system, and finally the vital airs moving through the body. This is the effect of those exercises. The most important effect is on glandular system. Glandular system is a government of our body. When you want to affect some change in the society, you don't go person by person. Or, let us take care of ecology, let us have, separate collection of the garbage, let us recycle, let us be conscious. You don't go like that. You go straight to the government, you propose, then the government decides something, they enact some laws that helps people to follow this, and the consciousness of the entire society changes. Of course, you can go from grassroots also, but it will take much longer time. Similarly, in the body, there are common people, muscles, bones, and there are people with the positions, that is glands. The glands decide whether you should be thin or you should be big. The glands decides whether you should be short or you should be tall. The glands decide whether you should be angry or you should be kind. The glands decide whether you should be irritated or you should be happy, you should be peaceful. So everything in us is decided by the secretions of hormones. A very beautiful, subtle mechanism. Emotion originally comes from the brain. You assess the situation and you feel the response to that situation. But if the glands will not support that initial impulse from the brain, we will not feel anything. For example, with my brain, I repeat Bhavanam Kevalam. Love is all there is. And I think, but nothing happens. Why? Because the glands do not support that ideation. And slowly I have to train my glands to support that. And then once I have trained it, then I close my eyes, I repeat the mantra, and I just go with that flow. It is often that glands support harmful ideations, negative thinking, anger, frustration, depression. The glands have been trained in such functioning during lifetime. Person was thinking constantly something, and the nervous system has become accustomed. The glandular system has become accustomed to this type of secretions, and it comes naturally. Even if the person doesn't want, it still comes. We want to change, but how to change? Because the body is already set. Especially if you are over 40, over 50, what can you do? Then you just accept, I am this way. What can I do? Nothing can be done. But much can be done. On the mental level, on the physical level, it comes very fast. The changes come very fast. I remember, and there was a situation, I was under great stress, tremendous pressure. And I start to become irritated. When I hear the phone rings, I just want to take this phone and throw against the wall. Then I thought, what kind of yogi am I? If I feel this sort of reactions, and then I know a little bit about the biopsychology of yoga. I thought, okay, let me do these exercises. And I started to do. I started to do wheel posture, and Utthata Paschimottanasana, the posture where you bend yourself in half. Within 3 days, the pressure was still tremendous, but I felt so different, so much relief. I would not be irritated, I would just pick up the phone, talk, and solve my problem. So, through asanas, you affect your glandular system and you affect your psychology. In detail, I will explain all this when we will have a course on biopsychology. It's really fascinating. Every emotion has its place of origin in the body. Fear comes from the navel area, love comes from the heart area, the desire to selflessly serve humanity comes from this area. The desire to know the truth, the desire to know yourself comes from this area. It's really fascinating. For now I will just tell that glands will secrete hormones, and hormones will create our psychology. So we need to change the glandular secretions. How we are going to balance the glandular secretions? It is not good that the gland will secrete too little of a hormone. It is also not good that the gland will secrete too much of a hormone. For example, if this gland secretes too much of the hormone, you become too fast. You think very restlessly and you become very thin. And if it secretes too little of hormone, you become more fat, you become more thick, and you think slow. So neither of these conditions is ideal, neither of these conditions is desirable. We don't want any of those. We want a middle path. So the asana will balance the hormonal secretions through subtle pressures on the gland. The asana will squeeze the gland, one asana will squeeze the gland, another exercise will stretch the gland, another exercise will twist the gland. And through those subtle pressures, the glands will become rejuvenated and they will balance that hormonal secretion. For example, I don't know if you have tried to wash the floor with just a rag, not with mop of any kind, but just old style. Take a rag and wash the floor. How you do it? You wash, but then the rag becomes dirty. Then you have a bucket with water, and then you rinse the rag like that. And then you squeeze it like that. Then again you rinse like that, and then you squeeze it. In this way, the rag becomes clean. So the same thing we do with our glands and internal organs. For example, what am I doing now? I am twisting the spinal cord. Is also good. The spinal cord becomes healthy. This asana removes different distortions in the spinal cord. And I'm also twisting, I'm squeezing all the internal organs and all the glands. And this asana will have a powerful effect on my body and mind. So this is, in short, how the asanas affects our physical existence and our mental existence. They restore health and they create a very good balance in the emotional sphere. There are about asanas have been invented many thousand years ago. Yogis, they were practical researchers and they were observing animals, what postures they assume, how they cure their diseases, and they tried to imitate. And they discovered that, there are some benefits in those postures. For example, there is a peacock posture. And they noticed that peacocks, they have a very strong digestion. They can eat the snakes and digest with the poison. So they imitated the peacocks. And they found that digestion became very good. And also you become shameless. You know, the peacock, it will open the tail, and if you like to, you know, express himself. So also these asanas will affect this psychic, create this psychic ability to express yourself, not to be shy. So in this way they have invented about 50,000 asanas, and then there is asana for everything. But we will not practice 50,000. It is enough for us just several asanas. In the next video I will explain 3 basic asanas. Those 3 basic asanas, they are good to become healthy, to establish a good health, and also they create a proper psychological balance. Those asanas, they have no contraindications. If there are any, you can check, there will be a description under the video. But for the most people, those asanas are suitable. So this was the intro about asanas. I hope you understand and you get inspired for the practice. Your homework will be to do the asanas at least once a day. If you can do twice a day, this is best of the best. And it will take you only 10-15 minutes of your time. But you will feel significant improvement in terms of your psychology and in terms of your physical efficiency and in terms of your energy. You will feel much better. Your digestive system will work much better. Everything will be much better. And also check out all those additional videos. Thank you very much. Namaskar.